Too many conversations that tend to form the political discourse across Nigeria and around the world. And of course, when it has to do with Nigeria, one prominent conversation is a conversation around defection from one political party to the other. In this particular case, we call it Party A and Party B. Party A for us stands for the All Progressive Congress, which happens to be the ruling party. And Party B happens to be the People's Democratic Party, a PDP. Well, this is my way of saying welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television. And my name is Godwin Sunday. Today we'll be talking about the various defection across various political parties in Nigeria and impending defection that has tended to grief the air around Nigeria. And joining me to talk about the defection and how it will affect the political landscape of Nigeria even this evening is Comrade James Oziama, and he'll be joining me in this conversation. First, you're welcome to the Big Talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. First, we've seen defection that happened in Edo State, and right now we're seeing what is going on in Cross River State. But looking at all of the defection, one thing that has stand out for most defectors, they've said that they are defecting in order to draw the government close to their location and ensure that they bring government closer to their destination. But when you look at this, what do you make of the development of a defection that has become a normal trajectory in Nigerian political terrain?
First of all, defection is, as we see it in Nigeria, is because of lack of principles when it comes to politics and the people who play politics in Nigeria. There are no ideological basis for politics in Nigeria. And that is the reason why anybody can wake up one morning and just decide to move from one party platform to another. What we have in the country are people who just want to grab power and then share the resources, not to the masses, but to themselves. Because even when whether they are in the ruling party or in the opposition, I have not seen any significant difference in terms of dividend of democracy. So party defection in Nigeria is primarily because we don't have leaders who are focused on any kind of clear ideology or any principle that guide whatever they do. And that's how they do even in business. There's no principles. People just do things because somebody else is doing something. You just wake up one morning and say, oh, my neighbor is selling pure water and is making money. I want to start selling water too. So that is the kind of the same thing that we bring into politics in Nigeria. There is no any place that somebody this is my party manifesto. Party stands for, and this is why I am in politics as a person, because I like the manifesto of Party A or Party B, and that is why I am going to run election on the platform of this political party. All what we see is not ideology, is not principle, it's just about I want a position where I can grab, and probably appropriate words as we see it on daily basis. So that is how it is. It has nothing to do with bringing governance nearer to the people at all. So that is how I see it. It doesn't look like anybody is bringing governance closer to anybody. It's about personal interest. When they see that our political alignment their current political alignment is not in tandem with what achieving their next political goal, the next thing they do is that they will decamp so that they will realign and they'll be able to realize their personal ambition.
But let's talk in terms of, you've talked about political ideologies that have tended to grip the political space in Nigeria. But a lot of Nigerians will want to start the conversation by first looking at the various segments and the sections of the Nigerian constitution that is largely at variance with the current realities of Nigerians and what we are going through. Looking at the sections of the constitution first, before we talk about the party manifestos and what the party stand for, let's take this back to the Constitution. Does the Constitution support the various defection that we have in the country? Does the Constitution give a nod to it? If it is a yes, looking at the Act which supports the Constitution, looking at the INEC Act that we have right now, does it also support defection without turning a blind eye on the various defection strategy, or we're not supposed to talk about the slide? Then thirdly, if we look at the defection going on in the country as it stands right now, the various parties, like you have rightly said, don't have ideologies, don't have a vision, don't have a land-wide conversation around this area, but trying to tie these all three up together. Are we sure we are ready for democracy if these things are not intertwining?
Well, first of all, when you talk about the Constitution is very ambiguous, really, when it comes to issue that has to do with defection generally. But in terms of defection by people who were elected under a particular political party platform, ordinarily, morally, and by the judgment of the Supreme Court, the mandate of every elected person is not to the individual person, is to the political party. The most quoted case is the issue of the Amechi and versus Omeha. You know, in those days, that when the Supreme Court ruled that the votes cast in an election belongs to the party that sponsored the individual. So it is not the individual person who is occupying the office that owns the vote that the electorate, you know.
But that's it. But it seems we have changed narratives.
No, we have not changed. The only thing is that, you know, in Nigeria, most times we don't want to go by the spirit of the law. Even the letter, most of the time, we don't even abide by it.
In Nigeria, the letter resurrects, doesn't kill.
It doesn't kill.
All right.
So, you know, and that is what the issue is. So, ordinarily, if a lawmaker, for instance, should decamp, or an elected governor or deputy governor, whoever that is elected official under a particular political platform, that decide to defect, the person is supposed to leave the mandate behind. You don't need to take the vote that does not belong to a particular political party to it, because in that election, probably that party you are defecting to fielded a candidate, and the people rejected that party and they voted for your own party, and then now you decide to take the mandate of your party to another party, which is against the law by the Supreme Court ruling. So you cannot come and say that because anything is happening in your party, then it becomes a justification for you to now leave your party. If you leave your party, you should be able to leave the mandate behind. You just go home and join your party, and then not go with the mandate of the people, as it were. So that is how it is. And then when you now talk about defection in terms of whether it's going to bring any kind of
and we'll look at it from INEC own perspective also.
Yes.
In terms of if people are moving from party A to party B,
yes,
INEC tend to be silent even about this mandate.
Yeah.
Because, so does the act support?
Because INEC itself is just more or less interested in conducting elections.
No, it's a machinery. It's a machinery as well as an integral process.
Yes, ordinarily, the INEC is a regulator also.
Yeah.
It's not just an umpire. It's a regulator. It's supposed to regulate party politics, and we should be able to bring some of these things to light, and make sure that if somebody actually decamps or defects to another political party, you issue a withdrawal of the person's certificate of return immediately. So you don't need to wait, because that is what the law says. So you don't need to wait for any this thing. You issue a withdrawal of
so your one penny on INEC Act is that INEC has failed.
INEC has never even done what he is supposed to do. The primary responsibility of INEC is to conduct election. Which election have INEC conducted in recent time that was not disputed? Because how you know that there's a transparent and free and fair election is when at the end of elections, you see that parties involved in that election, the contestants, accept the, the outcome of the result without bickering. And then that's when you will know that this thing was okay. Because if you contest election and you know that you lost truly, why should we be going to court? There's nothing that will take you to the courts.
So looking at all of this, which brings us to the third question. Looking at all of this, are we ready for democracy as it stands right now?
Well, whether we are ready for democracy or not is a very big question, because it depends on the perspective you are looking at it from. Are we ready for democracy as elites, or are we ready for democracy as the masses? The masses are ready for democracy. They are ready to vote. They are ready to sacrifice on election day, stand under the sun, stand under the rain to cast their ballot. But are we ready for democracy in the sense that the elites, the political elites, they have a way of making sure that the outcome of the ballot, the outcome at the ballot does not reflect in the final outcome when the polling units are collated. They will decide to choose who they want. At that level, I'm not sure we are ready for democracy. But if it comes to, in terms of the ordinary citizens who want to exercise their franchise, performing their civic duties, we are very much ripe and we are actually hungry for democracy. But what we are practicing, unfortunately, is not a democracy. We just have a bunch of elites who come together and decide to grab power and just share it, so use it as a means of sharing our resources to themselves and their cronies. And that is what we are seeing today, and that is not democracy.
Well, to a very large extent, a lot of people will say that the defection in Nigeria is due to the fact that some Mephistophelian cabals are in need to grasp power to themselves. But on the other side of the divide, most politicians will say that they're not defecting because they want to join the ruling All Progressive Congress because they want their sins to be forgiven. And they're not joining in terms of the Mephistophelian cabals, which people have defined democracy in Nigeria as the government of the cabals, for the cabals, and with the cabals. But they're not joining the cabals. They just want to bring a change to their people. But in your own assessment, as a political analyst, when you look at the various defection that has tend to greet the Nigerian political space, do you think that the defection is for the interest of the masses?
It's never in the interest of the masses. It's all about the next election and the political calculation for the time. You see, one of the major reasons why we have some of these defections, go and watch, you see that this is because some individuals, especially the governors who are first-time governors, are working towards ensuring that they win a second tenure. And because elections are not by the votes, they believe that if they join the ruling party, it will help them. The federal might will be what they will now be banking on as the advantage for them to win the election. And it's not just about the votes that is even their problem. It's not winning at the polling units that is their problem. Their problem is actually the courts. They know that if you go to court, they may decide, even if you win, their own candidates may go to court against you, and they will decide to use the court to take away the mandates from you. And this is one of the reasons why you see that people are actually defecting. It's not about governance or anything. It's about just because they want to protect their office. They want to come back for second tenure, and they don't want anybody to go to court from the the candidates of the ruling party to at the national level to go to court, and they will use the court to twist him and take the mandate away. So it's better he just go and join them now, so that at the end of the day, he will just be paddy thing, and everybody will be so happy. You can see how they rejoice when they eventually defect.
Well, let's even look in terms of the citizens of the country, because to a very large extent by the Constitution, the provisions of the Constitution, Chapter 3 of the Constitution, citizens have a very large role to play in the political development of a country. In this particular case, mandates are stolen, like you've rightly said, quoting you verbatim alliteratim, that is quoting you word for word. Now, mandates have been stolen, have been given out to another party, which by elections, it's supposed to be voting of a political party, not an individual from that party. Now, but in this case, we've seen what has played out over time, and it has become like a recurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor in the Nigerian body politics, where mandates are stolen and nobody speak about it. So at this point, can we say that the Nigerian citizens are not educated to that point where they begin to fight for mandate, or they are just being negligent about their mandate, or the citizens don't just want to care about mandates being stolen? But if you look at it in this light, what's your general take on the mandates being stolen so far?
You see, there's nothing the citizen can do, actually. The citizen is not the courts. The citizen is not the...
But we can boycott the system. They can protest. They can carry out placards. And these are some of the things that they can form public opinion and support groups.
And then of what use are those? Because you come out to protest, they tear gas you. Some people, some people at the end of the day, they die. Nobody's held responsible. Nobody's held accountable. Even the security agencies will get away with all kinds of impunity they commit at a time of protest. So which security agents have been prosecuted for manhandling even journalists that are covering protests? So you see that that is why I said that some of these people who are defecting, majority of them are people who are looking at the next election. They are looking at how are they going to position themselves so that by the next election they will not that is, their mandate will be so protected by the ruling party that nobody will come and take it away from them, because they know that the courts are not something, they are not an institution that you should believe in and hold dearly to yourself and say, and beat your chest and say, look, these mandates, I know that because I have evidence, nobody can take it away from me.
So invariably you're saying that the citizens are untwisted. The citizens' hands are tied. The citizens are, at this point, cannot do anything when mandates are being stolen, if I get you correctly.
In fact, there's nothing the citizens can do. The citizens cannot do anything because either way you look at it, the citizen is handicapped. Our hands are tied. You see, if in a democracy, and the judiciary is active, that's the defense that the citizens have. And that's where the citizens are supposed to anchor their hope that if the umpire misacts, they can have a recourse to the judiciary. But at this time, you see that both the umpire, the judiciary, the legislator, and everybody tend to become the arm of the executive in power, and that is where the problem is. What can the citizen do? If you protest, you find yourself, being humiliated, being mishandled, being treated as a criminal. But if you are protesting for or rallying for the ruling party, nobody touches you. So that is how it is, and that's the problem we have, and that's why the elites are not ready for democracy. They are not ready for democracy. They just want platforms that they will use to get access to power and hold on to power and do that which they want to do, and that is sharing the resources to themselves and their cronies.
All right, let's travel a bit to Cross River State and that of Delta State and try to picture what has happened in Cross River State. Of course, in Cross River State, Dr. Imana Ambrose, who happens to be the deputy governorship candidate of the Cross River State, has moved to the All Progressive Congress. And just when we're thinking that this is happening in Cross River State, we travel a bit in Cross River State also to ICOM local government, where we see a lot of PDP members moving from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. We're trying to even look at that. We traveled 2 weeks back again in time, and we're looking again at Delta State, where the governor of Delta State, the president of Sharif Obawerebore, has left the party, and also the former governor, who happens to be the former governor of Delta State, also have left the party and joined the All Progressive Congress in order to, and one of the excuses that they've given in terms of Delta State is that they want to be connected to the top in order to attract government to the good people of Delta State. Cross River State said that she moved from the PDP, People's Democratic Party, because she loved what the governor of the state is doing for the good people of Cross River State. And this has become like a normal chorus or anthem that most politicians give when they decamp. But looking at it from the light of a political analyst lens and trying to delve into this conversation in its fullest, these politicians, as it stands right now, are moving, and the citizens tend to be on a standstill. Come 2027, like you've said, that this is for the political interest and not for the mandate. Do you think again, or what's your take on the people's mandate standing as it stands right now? Won't this automatically mean that Nigeria will be tilting towards a one-party state as it stands right now?
Well, it will be difficult to have a one-party state, because even in data that we're talking about, some PDP members have decided to have come together and said in some local government, they are saying, no, we can't go with the governor. The governor, you are free, you can go to your APC, but we are here, we are going nowhere. So it is happening like that everywhere. Most of these things are not about the ordinary party members. It's about the individuals who want to retain power. And that is just it. That's just the bottom line of all this, the rigmarole. You know, they will always give excuses, either that my party is in crisis, or because we don't have, we want to bring governance, we don't have access to the federal, so we want to have access to the federal to bring a dividend of democracy to the grassroots. As if the president of Nigeria is the president of a particular political party. He's the president of the entire country. So irrespective of your political affiliation. So there should not be discrimination in terms of dividend of democracy from the political party angle, or any angle for that matter. So I don't, you know, when some of these politicians are speaking, they speak as if they are just talking to themselves. They think that we don't reason, we don't think, we cannot analyze whatever that is going on, and they will just accept whatever.
But that's I see. That's not. But yeah, they are right in their own lives.
The reason is because, you know, the current crop of leaders, they have weaponized poverty in such a way that it's difficult for people,
even if not the weaponization of poverty,
for the ordinary citizen to even eat. Yeah. So anywhere you see that there will be some crumbs that will come, people will tend to align.
But Ezema, we've seen, I've asked you this question before now, before we got to this point of the conversation. I've asked you, citizens are not talking. Citizens are not reacting. Now, you said that the citizens cannot talk because most politicians will override the will of the citizens. Now you're coming back to weaponization of poverty. Of course, most countries in the world are poor, But we've seen Singapore and other countries across the world coming out to protest. We've seen Palestine coming out to protest against bad governance. We've seen even war zones like Ukraine, they still enjoyed good dividends of governance. Are you saying that at this point that we cannot even pinpoint this to the citizens, because citizens their hands are twisted, they can't do anything in this life? But most states have been untwisted than Nigeria.
No, the reason is that those countries you are mentioning, they have institutions that are functioning. We don't have functional institutions here. The institutions in those places are functioning. That's why in a democracy, in a democracy, if the institutions are not strong, if we having powerful individuals here and there that influence how things happen, like today, you will see that somebody will tell you go to court. Why? Because either he has money to influence the judges, or he has somebody who is at the top there who can give a directive to a judge to deliver a judgment in certain to a certain individual, and that is what we are talking about. So if we have institutions that are strong, if you have institutions that are independent, if you have a proper separation of powers, as it were in a democracy and in a presidential system that we practice in Nigeria, I can assure you that some of these protests, some of these agitations will have anything positive that will come out of it. But as it is today, we have been protesting. Every day you see us protest. And when we protest, at the end of the day, what comes out of it? And that is what we are talking about. Because the institutions are weak. There is no punishment for wrongdoing when the person is working in the interest of some powerful individuals. There is no punishment for any wrongdoing. So that is why in Nigeria it's difficult for an average citizen to say, I am standing up for my rights. And then there will be that, because at the end of the day, there is no recourse to it.
But if there is a weak institution, like you've identified, then I asked again, I asked, are we ready for democracy?
Yes,
if institutions are not strengthened.
Yes, individuals.
So
yes.
the institutions, institutions don't stand. It's called a functional structural. It is a functional structural theory.
Yes.
That the institutions don't stand alone.
Yes.
They stand because they function under a particular certain individuals that run those institutions. If the institutions are not ready, Nigerian citizens are ready. Automatically, going by an inductive reasoning, it can only tell us right now that we are not ready, or you're not seeing it from this light, from democratical angle.
When we are not, we can say we are not ready if we are looking at democracy from the elite perspective.
The institution, you just mentioned the institution. You said we have failed institutions in the country.
Institutions are not, when you talk about institution, you are talking of a set of rules, a set of laws, a set of modus operandi that is, whether it is Mr. A or Mr. B that is confronting that institution, the way Mr. A is being treated, that is how Mr. B will be treated. And that is what we are talking about, institutions. Rule of law is not part of what we see in Nigeria as an element of democracy. Because in Nigeria, it is the mighty. I remember when a protest was to come, when they announced that there was going to be a protest some time ago. What happened? Some individuals overnight went to court and obtained a court order, and the judge, who I don't understand, woke up from the right side or the wrong side of his bed, and he can now issue an order restraining
an injunction,
restraining a citizen from expressing his own grievance. He said that what is going on in the system, I don't like it. You are now issuing order and saying that the citizens should not protest. And that is, you call that institution that is standing. That is not an institution that is standing. That is an institution that is being influenced by the elite. And that is what I have been talking about.
So if we don't enjoy egalitarian, you're talking about going by the rule of law, going by the rule of law, You're talking about the principle of egalitarianism, which is equality before the law.
Yeah.
And you've said that we don't enjoy that, even as citizens. So I want to look at, we're looking at this part, Nigerian as it is right now. Of course, on the big talk table, we get to look at this and try to paint the right pictures around it. If we look at the institution critically, you've said it is a weak institution that we have in the country. Invariably, you're saying, if I get you correctly, that Nigeria democracy, we're not ready for it by having weak institution, if I get you correctly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we have weak institutions because the elites who control these
If the elites have just made
Who make
elites
sure-
by the
who
last
ensures that-
Wale Edun, who happens to be the Minister of Finance in
Yeah.
the country, says only 5% of Nigerians have 500,000 naira in their savings account. 5% of Nigeria, which automatically means that Nigerians have been thrown more into the ambience and the hands grip of poverty to a very large extent. But looking at this, and you've mentioned the institutions, we tend to shy away from the conversation. But you are an analyst, and then you are the principal when it has to do with this field. Have we failed in our democracy, or we have chances to survive, so that we can tell the government what they need to know and how they can fix the country?
The only thing that can be done is that we should begin to build our institutions to be independent, irrespective of who is the president, who is the governor, or who is the member of the House of Rep or House.
So with a failed institution, we've had a failed democracy.
Because with a failed institution,
Yeah.
there is no democracy at all.
All right. Now,
You are not even talking about failed democracy. There's no democracy without a strong institution. Once the institutions have failed, democracy cannot function in that kind of environment.
all right. So let's go back to the malingual or the multiple political parties that we have in Nigeria and look at the various defection that is going on in the country. People will say that the SDP is warming up to also defect. Members of the SDP. Of course, the NNPP is also warming up in
Yeah.
Kano to also look for a way to also decamp. And this brings us back to almost the Second Republic in Nigeria. If we have all of this defection going on in the country, how guarantee can we say right now that we can sustain our democracy without military intervention?
Well, our democracy can be sustained even if it is even if it's a single political party. It still does not actually mean that our democracy cannot be sustained. Military intervention most times is not just about whether it's a single party state or a multi-party state. It's about the issues that border on governance. See, the average Nigerian is not interested in who is the president, who is the governor, what is interested in is better life. Well, if this person who is occupying this office can be able to ensure that the good things of life, the basic things of life, the person has food, he is able to have basic things like clothing, shelter, and things like that. And we have things like electricity, have water. There's an average Nigerian is a resilient person that can always survive even anywhere. But the problem we have is that some of the people who are occupying offices not for the sake of the ordinary citizens. They are occupying offices for their own personal benefit and the benefit of their relatives and their cronies. So it is not about, these people are not here because of the masses. They are not here because of they want to effect a change in the real sense of it, but they are here because they want to benefit their own individual selves. And that is that's where we have a problem with Nigeria's democracy. Nigerian democracy is not a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's a government of the elite, by the elite, and for the elites. They want to appropriate everything to themselves and share it among themselves. And because they have formed a nucleus within a ruling party, You see, this thing is not just about today. Even before the coming of APC, all of them will always gravitate towards the ruling party. So tomorrow, if there's another political party that manages to take over the center, you will see that everybody will start moving towards aligning with that political party. And that is the nature of an average Nigerian politician who is just interested in what he is going to get and not what he is going to give to the people.
Well, I asked that particular question because there is a quote that says when military took over power in 1966, they said it was due to the ruthlessness of the Nigerian boats and our failed economy that members of the Nigerian army, being themselves Nigerians, felt compelled to salvage the situation. Now, we're looking at the politics right now, and we're seeing defection. And I'm asking at this point, won't this serve as an invitation for, because right now it seems as though when you talked about the constitution and the structures and the institutions, looking at the various political structures we have coming from the path of the CACOs, going through the cells, going through the branch, going through the militias and all of the structures that we have in the polity, it tends to be that the politics tend to have not risen beyond a reasonable doubt that it will succeed. I don't know, but you are the expert in this field. I'm just trying to look at what I'm seeing from this table and while I'm here right now. But
the issue is this.
Yeah.
Political party governance is what is the problem, and most times when there's a military intervention, what they tell us is that they have come because there's corruption, they've come because there's bad governance. The people, they want to deliver on good governance, but the truth of it is that we have had experiences in military intervention in Nigerian politics, but which of them has actually delivered on good
and you
governance?
feel this defection,
So,
this defection in Party A to Party B is not an annual invitation for the military to take over?
To me, it's part of democracy. Defection in itself is part of democracy. But the only issue here is that if you are elected in a particular under a particular political platform, you are not supposed to defect to another political platform with the mandate of that party. That's where the issue is. As an individual, you are free to defect from one party to another, but you cannot be an elected official, somebody whom the people have chosen to fulfill the manifesto of your party, and then you decide to leave that party and go to another party which they have already rejected their own manifesto to go and now say you want to bring governance down to them. No, you don't. That is not what the spirit and letter of the Constitution.
But silence means admittance in law. If you're silent over a thing, it means that you have admitted that you're in support of it because you're giving your silence on it. It means you've given a nod. And Nigerian citizens have given a nod to it.
Nigerians have
it's a welcome development as far as Nigerian citizens are talking.
Nigerians are talking.
Okay,
the only issue is these people who constitute the political elite, are they listening? But if it is about talking, Nigerians are talking, Nigerians are expressing their displeasure, Nigerians are saying that though we don't want
when you say Nigerians, when you say Nigerians are talking, I begin to wonder, is it Nigerians in Delta that are talking? Because last time we checked, even in the People's Democratic Party, it was only Saraki and a few others that spoke from the People's Democratic Party. And we heard that the People's Democratic Party is going to court to reclaim its mandate and deter further defection of members carrying its mandate. But we've not seen that play out so far in the country. I wonder at this point, Comrade Ezima, which Nigerians are talking and which Nigerians are you talking about that are talking?
As we are here, we know that citizens are expressing their displeasure one way or the other. But the only issue is, are they listening? Are they hearing? We have, go on social media, you will see that Nigerians are talking. Nigerians are speaking. Nigerians are airing their views. But are these people listening? This age is not the age of, it's not like the analog age. This is the digital age. And you see that recently there was a protest in Nigeria on social media. They had a social media protest. They called it a 30-day of rant. And it was very, very effective. They didn't come to the street because they knew that when they come to the street, somebody somewhere will order the security agencies to shoot at them and things like that. So they took their protest to the social media. And that 30 days of rant was a big success because the people in government, you will see how they are reacting and responding to some of the issues being raised on social media. And that is the age where we are. That kind of protest and that kind of coming out to speak on the streets is no longer what this age is for, because they have known that the institutions cannot protect them if there is any problem. And that's why they have taken their protest to the social media. And that's why I tell you that Nigerians are talking. But are these people actually listening? And if they are listening, are they going to implement that which they have?
Invariably, Nigerians are talking on social media.
Sure.
All right. Comrade Ezima, just before I let you go at this point in time, of course, I've already been signaled that it's time to go. But what are your recommendations even for defectors and the parties involved, even as it stands right now in the next few seconds?
Number one, the people that are defecting, they should leave the mandate behind, because they can't defect with the mandate of a political party to another political party. Two, our institutions should be made to work, because it's not even in the interest of the ruling party for everybody to be a member of that political party, because the party will not be able to perform. You see, if you don't have anybody who is telling you that what you are doing is not correct, I'm not sure that you are going to end up well, because you are not going to deliver that dividend of democracy that actually you are interested in delivering. And that was why you decided that you want to contest for election. But most times they don't come to do anything except to share the national cake. And they are sharing it not to the masses, but they are sharing it just to themselves and their family members and their associates.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end the show this evening. I want to say thank you so much, Comrade Ezima, for finding our time to be with us here on Big Talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, viewers at home, do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle now showing on your screen using @Global TV NG. And you can download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Till Big Talk come your way again, stay fulfilled. Bye for now.